It's time for the round 8 debrief, Tiger fans, in our bad loss against the Hawks. Losing by 65 points, it was obviously far from ideal. Hawthorn 16-13, 109, defeated Richmond 6-8, 44. And I don't know, it just, to me, it kind of felt like one of our worst ones for the year, just in terms of an effort and an application and even a selection perspective. And like I said last night, maybe my perception was heightened by the fact that I was there amongst a very happy and jovial Hawthorn area, which made me feel a bit more flat about the whole scenario. But look, I'm under no illusion that Hawthorn were always going to win this game. They're a top 4 credentialed side, and we are obviously a bottom 4 side. So the scorelines kind of speak for themselves in a lot of ways. Plus, it was their big milestone game too, so they had plenty to play for and plenty to prove. I just felt like, though, that our effort was slightly off, and like maybe my view was skewed a bit from being at the game. Maybe I missed things that were maybe seen on TV that made it look a little bit better. So I'm happy to hear about all of those things in the comments below, because there's definitely scope for the fact that I might have missed and not seen some certain things for sure. So I do want to acknowledge that straight off the bat. But I think my biggest gripe is I really felt like we didn't do ourselves any favors at the selection table with this game. I'd said all week in multiple videos that I felt that we were one tall, too short going into this game. And I even highlighted exactly what was going to happen, that if we didn't equalise the Hawthorn tall defenders in Barras, Battle and Sicily, that we were going to come unstuck very quickly by intercept marks. And that's exactly what happened. Lynch and Jonty Fall, as hard as they may try, they were outnumbered by another quality All-Australian tall every time, and they were able to just hold, one was able to body up our player, and then the third player come over the top, intercept mark, and the ball goes the other way. So we definitely had to equalise on that front, and that's why I thought that Campbell Gray should have been a good chance to hold his spot, and he could have gone forward and played on one of them and been dangerous as well. Like I look at the start of the game, for example, and we had Seth Campbell on James Sicily, and that was never going to work well for us, unless the only way that works well for us is if we grubber kick the ball inside 50, which I did say was a genuine option. I thought if we weren't going to equalise in height, then we couldn't afford to blast kick and put it in high. And, well, we did just that, and they picked us apart accordingly. And look, I don't know for fact, but I would like to think that the way we're entering inside 50, I would like to think that's not by instruction. Like, surely that in modern football, the most efficient way to enter inside 50 is by lowering the eyes and hitting someone leading up in a lane towards the guy with the ball. Surely that's the most effective way, and that's what we're wanting to do. I'd love to think that. So credit has to go to Hawthorn as well for forcing us to play a certain way, and we just couldn't get out of the habit of dropping it in long on top of Lynch's head. And I think Lynch is a little bit... blame might not be the right word, because he tried, but I just didn't I didn't feel like he was getting on his bike and trying to lead up into space too much. Whether that's to do with Hawthorn clogging the space and putting numbers back, I'm not too sure. But we just didn't look like changing our method at all. Until it got into like the last quarter or so, Jonty Fall gets on a lead. Sam Lawler hits him up with a lace-out pass. Beautiful. Takes a mark, kicks a goal. That's how, I say simple, but that's how it should be. That's what we've got to be trying to do more of. And when Hawthorn get numbers back, or anyone gets numbers back inside our forward 50, when we've got the ball around 80 metres out from goal, we've got to do what other teams do and maybe move it laterally really quickly a few times and then open up space on the other side for a quick kick. So a little bit of frustration there with our entries. And the other thing as well, and this is all credit to Hawthorn, the marks we did take inside 50, they were forcing us wide for a lot of them onto the boundary lines. They were extraordinarily low percentage shot kicks at goal. So that's just a really good setup from them, and we weren't able to get any better angles at goal. So that's something we're going to have to get better at and learn from as well. But to really highlight my theory or my point on that we were one tall short, Josh Battle was the disposal leading winner on the ground with 33 disposals, 12 marks, 506 metres gained. He was essentially able to do as he pleases. In the first quarter and a bit, I reckon it was Barras that was off the leash, taking intercept marks and doing all that kind of stuff. And then they must have swapped it around a little bit, and Josh Battle just destroyed us. CJ, another defender, 32 disposals, 7 marks, 1 tackle, 500 metre gained. And then on behind front of me lines, I'd also mentioned that my other concern was D'Ambrosio on the wing could cause potential issues as well. Sure enough, the guy goes and has I would argue, a career best game, 30 disposals, 9 marks, 1 tackle, 796 metres gained, 2 goals, 1. Absolutely slayed us out wide. And that's your game right there. Those 3 players, that's the game in a nutshell. So a little bit disappointing we didn't do too much to arrest that. I would have, I can't really remember, or I couldn't tell if Hugo was directly assigned to D'Ambrosio. I would like to think if he was, he should have clamped down a bit more than what he did, because he got off the leash massively. But yeah, very, very flat about that side of the game. And hopefully we'll learn from it. But it just felt like we're a little bit lackluster in a lot of areas. Looking at some of the team's stats, some of the ones that stood out in particular, like even inside 50s, we still got 42 inside 50s. We were just not efficient at all. Like that first quarter, there was a 10-minute period where we had 5 or 10 repeat inside 50. So we were actually pressuring quite well at that part of the game, causing turnover. We just couldn't get any score. And I remember sitting there feeling like that if we could get 2 or 3 goals in this first quarter, some good reward for effort, we might feel good about ourselves and might give ourselves a bit more of a chance. But we just couldn't get those shots on goal. And by contrast, Hawks would go down the other end, take an easy mark and score an easy goal. And that gets really deflating, I reckon. Clearances, we lost 29 to 22. So the numbers seem close on the surface. But like we sort of spoke about on the fan cam show last night, it's not always about the number of clearances. It's about the quality of clearances. And you look at Hawthorn's clearance, they would maybe have 1 or 2 handballs to work it to a guy running into space, like a Weddle or a Warple or a Newcomb, who then get a really nice and easy inside 50, whereas our clearances tend to be blast kicks forward out of packs that just sky up into the air that essentially play into the opposition defender's hands. So we have to work on the quality of our clearance as well to make sure we're getting good bang for buck and giving ourselves half a chance to try and get our hands on the footy. Contested possession, we lost 117 to 84. Uncontested possession, we got smashed in 306 to 218. So that wasn't good. Marks 120 to 90. We just weren't able to hold the ball. But the big one for me is the marks inside 50. Hawthorn had 21 marks inside 50. Their 2025 average is 16.1. So, I mean, in any game of football, 21 marks inside 50 is an absolute smashing. That's a huge number. And yeah, you're not going to win games of football conceding that every week. By contrast, we had 13, and our average is 8.8. But like I said, out of that 13, I would say about 5 or 6 of them, if not more, were like on the boundary line almost. So really low percentage shots. So we've got to get better there as well. We'll take a look at some individual players quickly, trying to find some positives, of course, because there are some green shoots and things like that to talk about quickly as well. Jacob Hopper, I thought, had a pretty solid game, 28 disposals, 3 marks, 4 tackles, 5 clearances. Tim Taranto, 26 disposals, 8 tackles, 4 clearances. But the guy who really impressed me the most was probably Luke Traynor, to be honest, again. Looks super composed, has to be edging very close to a Rising Star nomination. Not that's what it's all about, but it would just be good recognition and reward for his effort. 21 disposals, 8 marks, 2 tackles, 438 metres gained, which was the most for us. He just, again, looks so composed, so sure of himself out there. And I felt he was one of the few that maybe got better as the game went on, kept finding himself in space, taking off the dangerous kicks. I thought he had a really, really nice game. Sam Banks, I thought had a nice game as well, 15 disposals. I think he was very high efficiency as well from memory. 3 tackles, 1 clearance. And Tom Brown going forward and kicking a goal was interesting as well to see that happen late. He had 9 marks, which is not a bad return, 413 metres gained. And I'd still like to see him kick the ball a lot more. He's got a good weapon on him. But yeah, to see him float forward, it was actually a really nice pass from Thompson Dow to hit him up in the goal square, who could have been forgiven for blazing away himself, but hit him up and got a nice easy goal there. And Sam Lawler, look, he only had the 12 disposals. He had 4 tackles though, 3 marks, 4 tackles. Probably didn't feature heavily in the first half, but I really loved his work in the second half. And again, we've spoken about it before. It's the fact that he's like, not just him, but a lot of the other young guys as well, not dropping their head if they're having a bit of a tough time early days, to still stick it out and push on with it and have a good second half was good to see. Some of his passes at the end in the fourth quarter to Lynch and Jonty Fall and things like that, great to see. More of it, please. He's a beautiful kick of the ball. Unlucky not to kick that set shot himself, unfortunately. But I really liked the way he responded later in the game. So, it was Jonty Fall and Lynch we spoke about. Trezise, I thought, had a good impact coming on as sub. I'm not sure if I like him as sub, but he came on, kicked his first goal for the club. So well done, Trezise. That's a bit of another string to his bow. Maybe he can be a bit more of an offensive threat potentially. But that's pretty much my thoughts in a nutshell. I walked away pretty disappointed with that game, if I'm honest. I thought we were going to offer a bit more than what we did. And maybe if I watch the game back on TV, I might see some different things that might make me feel a little bit different. So keen to hear all of your thoughts in the comments below. But look, big game coming up this week. So hopefully we can regroup, get our thoughts together and bounce back. Because, we just want to see more effort, more consistency across the 4 quarters, and more green shoots. But, let us know what you guys all think. And I'll see you for tonight's live show at about 8:30 p.m. Go Tigers.